Well, I tell you what, this would have made a heck of a video. Yes, I know I have video on it now, but you don't understand. What ended up happening was I could not get the filler tube out of the tank. Everything else was loose and moving around, and now I see why. It had ate itself up so bad that it was actually grabbing it, wouldn't let go. That is not the worst of my problem. As I was beating on it, apparently the tank is thin, and it got all in the bottom of it now, where it touched the ground over there. I moved the 2x4s out of my way, and it doesn't even really have a dent on it. But you won't be able to see because I don't have a flashlight in there, but the tank is rusty anyway. I'm going to go ahead and pull the pump anyhow, because I need to see if the rest of it is any good. Like, I know the fuel gauge is reading way out of whack, which tells me it's probably rusted and the float's bad. I've had several Fords around these years. They use a metal, some type of a metal float, and they usually will rust holes in them, and that's what I'm pretty sure has happened here. So now I have to make a decision on whether to spend the money on a fuel tank or just JB weld that one, which I probably will do. There's some tank stuff, but it's got crack. I mean, the tank is really rusty inside. I'm going to go ahead and pull the pump anyway, like I said, possibly the sender, and see if I can clean it up a little bit. And I can make the leak stop. It's just, I need to know if this car is going to run, and it's going to run right. It's worth messing with. So putting another $150 fuel tank in it is really not my idea of, you know, what I was wanting to do. I could do something temporary, but that's something else I don't like to do. Anything that sounds temporary, at least is how it works where I work. Temporary turns into forever, and you're constantly fighting and messing with it, and it's just not worth it. So the gas is on this side because I was lifting up the other side to see what was leaking that came out of the fill tube. I have a pump, a small electric fuel pump with filter and hoses on both sides that I got extra leads on. I hooked to a battery to drain a tank, and that's probably what I'm going to use because this stuff stinks so bad. A friend of mine is killing backyard. Yes, you're not supposed to use gasoline. That's not what this is anymore. If you've got a smell of it, you know what I'm talking about. But it's overgrown, and it has to be dead anyway to find it. He can't even mow it until he finds out what's all over the ground. There's metal and broken cast iron pieces and wood and everything. He don't want to ruin his mower on it. So spring is rolling around. It's going to start growing, and so I told him I'd give him this stuff. And like I said, this may never make video, but this is where I'm at. I did get it out. Like I said, I fought it, and now I put a hole in the tank. So when I get it emptied out, I'll show you the hole, or at least best I can. Okay, there's the verdict. That is partially out of the fuel tank, and I did not even try. This fell out of the fuel tank, and I didn't even try. There is the old fuel pump. This is the screen that's left. This is the fuel line that fed it. It is complete garbage. The fuel sender, I think it's an ohm deal. I put ohm testing across it. I'm not getting anything. Nobody has one of those. I've looked on Rock Auto. I've looked on eBay. At least I can't. The way I'm putting it in isn't coming up. The rubber on that top of that tank is gone. The rubber that filled the tank is gone. That one rubber deal, I can only find one on eBay, but I haven't looked that hard. 45 bucks. The fuel tank is 70. That's cheap enough. I've already got a pump. I could probably clean a lot of that stuff up and make that work, but the fuel gauge, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do about that. And the tank, like I said, I know I'm going to get a tank. The rubber, I'm going to end up with, do it right, another $200 into this $150 car just to get the thing to start and idle and run, go down the road. That's minimum. I have no idea about anything else about this car. Don't know if the brakes work, don't know if the air conditioning works, don't know anything else with transmission. I don't know anything. Like I said, he told me that he thought he had a problem getting oil and stuff, so I really don't know, you know, really for sure what to do. So here's what I'm going to do temporary. Since I have the pump, and that stuff is actually a screw in, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, well, it came with a strainer and I bought one. Of course. No, maybe that came out of there. I think it did. It came out of that box. Sorry. Getting confused. Basically, on these pumps, they actually have terminals that screw on, and it comes with the spade terminals. So I think what I'm going to do is cheat, and I'm going to set up a deal where this actually sits in a 5-gallon gas can, and I'll return it next to it with a hose and just run a couple of wires up and hook to a 12-volt source right here next to the car, and it'll still run through the filter, but it really won't need it because it's going to be clean gas. But I think I'm at least going to see if the car itself, or the motor, is any good. You know what I mean? I won't be able to test a whole lot of other stuff, but at least I can make it possibly start and run, and then make my decision from there. It's so bright out, I have no idea what you guys were just looking at. I cannot see anything. Beautiful day today. Can't whine about that for the end of March. But anyway, a fuel tank's no big deal. Fuel pump, no big deal. The rest of the components, the fuel gauge most likely will not work. That rubber seal, that's $45. I hate spending that kind of money on just a piece of rubber. Top rubber's $10 for the vent. It cracked when I pulled it off because, like I said, everything is just wore. It's just got garbage in it. And you gotta hear the tank when I was going back and forth, and it had, you know. Now, if I was on a severe budget, like this is my daily driver, I have to have the car today. Obviously, the fuel gauge would be no big deal. I would just make it work. I would go ahead and JB weld the tank up, clean it, JB weld it up. That lasts long enough to get me by, and go ahead and put the pump back together, clean the tank out, put get some diesel fuel or something and slosh in there and keep dumping it out, even gasoline. I hate wasting it, and just try to clean it out the best I can. I guarantee it's going to need a filter, because the filter will, if you use that tank, you're going to put a new filter on probably every week for a while till everything cleans itself out. But you could put this back together. I could have this back together today and running the way it is. And I could possibly still do that. But it eliminates the possibility of selling the car to somebody, to me, without a fuel gauge. I cannot stand not having stuff that don't work, A. And B, if you sell it to somebody and they're driving it back and forth 90 miles one way to Tulsa, and the thing runs out of gas because they don't know how to keep track of mileage, or I don't even know that the speedometer works, so, or the odometer yet. This is where your problem lies, is you do it temporary, like I said a little while ago, that could bite you or somebody else. And I am not that guy. I'm either going to do this right, or I'm going to take this 125,000 mile motor out if it sounds good and runs good, and I am going to clean it up, and I'm going to go ahead and retain the fuel injection the way it is. AC, I think I'll just keep everything exactly the way it is, and do some upgrades, like some type of a cold air, and obviously some headers. Won't have any cats. Tuning, I mean, like I said the other day, I mean, you're talking about a 4,500 pound car, which is probably what this thing weighs, compared to a 3,000 pound car. 150 horsepower is plenty, especially with a 5-speed. At least it'll be fun and be real reliable. So if I don't like the way it works, then I can always upgrade to cam and heads, or whatever it is I want to do, and make it better. But I think for just a basic stab and go, I think it may be a bad motor, though. Maybe, I don't know yet. So why don't I temporarily set something up, and then I'll do a first start with you. So how's that sound? See ya. Well, for what it's worth, I think I'm ready to do this. I've checked the oil, topped off. It didn't take very much. Here's what I did. Here to show you. Here is the new fuel pump. It's supposed to be obviously in the tank. It actually came with a fitting like that. So I'm just sitting it down in this, which I cleaned out after I drill a hole in top for the 5/16 return line, and it's in there tight. So hopefully it won't fly out of there. If not, I'll be standing right here. Basically, I hooked the suction hose up to, well, you can't see it, but it hooks up to where it would normally hook up to, and the return line's on the other side, 5/16, 3/8 in. And I took, that's the plug-in that was naturally there. This plugged into the tank, or to the pump, and I just used a couple of little deals there, and I made sure positive was positive, negative was negative, and hooked this up. So this is going to be good, or this is going to be bad. I'm not sure which yet. I may put very much gas in it. So this is, I'm going to put you on a tripod. This will be first start. I mean, I checked to make sure it would start. but I never did. I mean, I'm talking like crank die. You know, I mean, it would fire and then die. So anyway, I've already topped off coolant, checked the oil. Hopefully the battery's enough to do it. See what happens. First start in, well, you know, I don't know how long. Here's the pump. Well, not supposed to do that. Either the solenoid hung or the ignition switch itself hung, which could explain why that cover was off the bottom. Oh boy, that's hot. Could be why it didn't start at getting a really bad ground. Because it acted like it tried there right at the very end. I need better gloves than I've got. I could tighten it, but as you can see, I may need to untighten it. I don't know if that'll help or not. I may have to. If it starts, the starter stays engaged, it's going to sound pretty bad. Brand new solenoid. That's nice, isn't it? Make sure everything's. Make sure it was tight the other day, but that don't mean hey, it hurt something or something's ate up. Pretty good old battery for being 12 years old, isn't it? Well, so much for that. And the ground wire fell out of it. Ah, this is the story of my life. Let me tell you what. Well, let me see if that fixes it. I gotta get some hand tools here. Everything's either underneath the car or the wrong side. Been asked more than once, why do you like working on that thing? Sometimes I don't know. It's one of them replacement cheapy battery terminals on the negative side, and it's everything on it was loose and probably dirty. Before I make a catastrophe here, do not touch the positive, stupid. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I'm messing with this battery cable. Remember what I was saying earlier about how doing everything temporary? bite you? Here's a good example. Here's what happens when you do stuff temporary. It turns into leaving it that way, or in this case, leaving it for the next guy. And I'm not saying go out and buy GM or Ford or Chrysler or whatever factory parts every time you go to, you know, work on your project. But if you're doing this as a daily driver, or let me guess, I dropped that nut. It was on there. I sure did. Anyway, if you're doing this for a daily driver, or you know, something that you're going to be depending on, it needs to be done half right, if you follow me. Because there's nothing worse than this quitting when you need it. And let me tell you, I've done it before. And it always quits when you're in a hurry to go to work, or you know, something like that, or it happens in the middle of an intersection, or it happens in the middle of the night when you have no flashlight, no tools. And you know, everybody watches Roadkill and stuff like that. I did too, man. It was I enjoyed watching it till it went to, they took it off of YouTube. I'm not paying all that money for entertainment because it comes out on Velocity, which I have right now on my dish. So it's like, you know, maybe behind some, but anyway. With that being said, those guys are, you know, oh, we're going to try to fix this thing up and drive it 60 miles home, or 100 miles home, or 500 miles home, or whatever. You know, what they don't tell you is they got a van following them. Most of them have tools already there. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys. Let's man, I don't know about the first episode. I know it quit on it a couple of times. All right. Let's try it again. You may need a beating device. You may not have been able to see what I was doing. But that is not going to work. I actually attempted to start this time. It sounds like the injectors are either hung shut, or I'm not getting fuel through that nasty filter. I'm not really sure, but this I foresee another one of these in my future. I'm going to move some stuff out of my way if I have to run around there. This ain't working, guys. What a pile. Who? I'm not going to say what store I got it from. Well, I'm going to try something else here. Be cheap. I imagine it needs a tune-up. That's the glowing oil out the tailpipe. Got a dead mess. Could be injectors, could be plug wires, something probably got ate up, you know what I mean? Some critter got up in there while it's sitting. I don't know. She's smoking pretty good out the tailpipe. Well, let me make sure my fuel system makes my gas as well. Alright, well, you've seen the glorious first start. What I did that last time was I jumped it across the solenoid there to get it to start. I just turned the key on inside and did it from out here with my screwdriver. It's not clear pulled, but it did pull it down some. My fuel system seems to be working, however, tailpipe is telling me a different story about how good this thing really is. Well, it could just have oil in the, you know, that's down in the system, like I'm talking like in the exhaust or whatever, that mist is causing problems, but I have a feeling that just letting it sit probably got some antifreeze down the cylinders or some moisture, maybe I better say it that way. But it is running. Sounds like a Ford. Now you can really see the smoke. Woo. Oh, it's a stinker. I'm hearing what sounds like an air pump, but I didn't think they had them. I'll keep grabbing that. Let's kick the tripod really hard. Maybe power steering I'm hearing, I'm not really sure. I do hear a bit of a whine. Oh yeah, it's got an air pump down here, that'll have to go away. Well guys, some of that mist went away a little bit. Maybe stuck injectors. But that smell is not fuel smell coming out of the tailpipe, it is burning oil. I know that smell well, I own enough garbage. So, well, I'll probably mess with it for a while and then make my decision on what I'm probably going to do, because the unfortunate part about it is the engine was the only thing that I thought was going to be really worth anything, which is why you don't pay very much for old stuff like this. Yeah, it picked that cylinder back up. Air pump's got to go. And she may just need a good seafoam treatment. May do that before I change the oil in it, because I'll probably mess with this for a little while, get the oil changed, and you know, if this doesn't go away, then that'll tell me I'm going to have to pull the engine down. But boy, it's smoking pretty bad. I don't think any seafoam's going to fix it. I doubt this will work. Let's just see. Wait a minute, where's it go? Panel. I heard no air conditioning kick on. Hey, nothing flew out of there like I expected. It's all coming out the defrost, so that tells me that it's got vacuum problems. It shut off on floor. Huh, shut off when it got to the floor. Huh. Well, okay, guys. I think it's junk. So, next, I'm not sure what the next video on this thing will be. So we'll just kind of, you know, kind of mess around and see. Oh, thermostat open. Pretty good sign. He thought that there was oil getting in it. I'm not seeing oil. I see foam. Top radiator hose is still cold, but that's probably because everything is still a little low. But you know, it picked that cylinder up. It's actually running better. Let's see how it starts back up again, and if it'll do it with a key without the starter stand engaged. That figures. Definitely gonna need a solenoid. I can't believe, I mean, that's brand new. I'm talking like it only started the car once, maybe twice. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even mean start it really, you know, just enough to know that it. How it works, guys. Once junk, always junk. Well, anyway, next video, I don't know what I'll be doing. I may try to seafoam this thing, and I'll lower it down a little bit, kind of level it out, and we'll kind of see. I need to put the tires back on it, see if I have any brakes. The fuel system, the way I have it rigged up, really isn't conducive to do anything else, but we'll see. Talk to you in a little while.